Hey folks, it's Dr. E, and I wanted to provide you with a weekly instructional video for week 9. We're deep into the semester. I want you to note that this may be information that cannot be contained within a single video, so you might want to plan time to watch two. And it may be helpful to have a pen and paper or something nearby to maybe take some notes, because we are going to cover quite a bit of information, but my hope is that it's not too overwhelming. So on the screen you'll see that I have this week's information from the syllabus schedule. So this is a kind of different week compared to some in the past, where you will have essentially one discussion post to complete. But in that discussion post, there's quite a bit of work, okay? So I want you to note that you will be sharing your annotated bibliography assignment in your weekly discussion post for Wednesday. And this, again, you'll be placed in groups. So I know this was a bit confusing last week, but you will be placed automatically into groups. When you go to your group area, you will not see anybody else's posts. You will not see anything until you yourself post your own thread. And even then, your group members may not have placed their work there yet. So just be patient, wait till the due date and time. But it's not a bad idea to kind of keep an eye on that discussion area so that you can, try to get ahead if you need to. We all have different work schedules and life schedules, so just keep an eye on that. So essentially what you're going to do is take the annotation exercises that you submitted previously in the assignments area of D2L, and you're going to update and revise those. So you have one annotation for Amy Choi's article, and you also have one annotation for Jeffrey Kluger's article. So what you'll essentially do is take those, revise them, edit them based on the feedback that I will provide you, and then you'll place them into a single document and then add a third annotation for Jennifer 8 Lee's article, not her video, but her article, right, that we've addressed previously. So you'll have an annotated bibliography assignment that has 3 annotations and citations for each of those articles, okay? You'll post that Wednesday by 11:59 p.m. and then between Wednesday and Friday, you will need to go in and offer feedback to each of your group members. Okay, you're placed in groups of 4, just in case there are some people who don't show up or don't contribute. We want to get at least 2 sets of feedback, right? That's optimum. My hope is that you will have group members that are contributing and sharing and doing what they need to do to provide you with feedback. So best case scenario, you have at least 2 sets of feedback from group members, if not 3, which would be even better. The more people who look over your work and provide you with feedback, the better. Okay, so between Wednesday and Friday, you need to go into that discussion area and see the documents that your group members post. Okay, you will actually open those documents, edit them. I'm going to explain a little bit of this in a second. And then by Friday at 11:59 p.m., you'll post that feedback to your group members. Okay, so additionally, by Sunday, you need to go back into the group area just like you did this past week, and exchange ideas, have a conversation, provide feedback in the text box areas for one another. And I want you to also note that you have a reading journal that is due, and that's for the readings associated with week 6, 7, and 8. Remember that a list of those are also provided in the content overview area of D2L. And then for next week, we'll go back to some of our previous kind of standards of reading a little bit, writing about those, etc. Okay. After you get the feedback from your group members, you will finalize your annotated bibliography, okay, based on the feedback, not only that I provide you for the annotation exercises this week, but also the feedback you get from your group members. And so you'll do your revisions, edits, updates, and prepare for that final submission in next week, week 10. Okay, and then I also want you to think about the paper topic posts you want to revise and include in your portfolio assignment. So you may want to go back to the video for that assignment and the guidelines that are posted, the rubric, just to kind of refresh your memory about what is entailed in that. So in a glance, this is week 9 for the annotated bibliography assignment that is coming due, but we're working on the peer review this week. So to add more information about that, remember that there is a whole video posted about the annotated bibliography assignment. This is the handout and guidelines, a refresher on the grades and what's required, but I'm pulling this up really to show you the example, okay? This example is formatted according to MLA guidelines, right? So my heading is double spaced. It includes the proper information. It includes the actual course number, the professor's name, remember Dr. E is fine, and the due date written out in MLA format, not using dashes. This may sound super picky, but this is just how we need to kind of follow step by step a different kind of formatting. So Chicago style, APA, they all have specifics when it comes to this information. Remember that in the template that I provide you, I have a header already set up. You just need to double click in this area and then remove. I think in the template I just have a general, like your last name. You need to put your last name here and make sure that the page number stays present. And Microsoft Word will just keep updating page numbers as you go. You should never be entering this information manually in this area in the rest of your document, okay? I want you to note that the first thing that appears for the annotation is actually our citation, right? Where we offer all the author's information, the publication information, like the publication date, the text, title, all of that. So you need to make sure you're including that. I gave you the citation for Choi's work, right? So I told you you can copy and paste that, and you still should, especially if I noted in your feedback on D2L in the Turnitin area that you needed to do some updating. I want you to note that this is called a hanging indent, right? So it looks to be the reverse of what we actually do for our paragraphs. You should indent all lines below the first in a citation so that the last name kind of sticks out here. But you should not be using the tab button to do this. It's called a hanging indent for a reason. It's something very specific. So if you right click and go to paragraph, the window will open and you want to, in this special area, select hanging. It's not a bad idea to also look at everything else. So is this 0? Is this, everything here should be 0. If you're not using a template and you're just opening a document in Microsoft Word, the defaults are a little funky. It's not double spacing, it's multiple spacing. It's all this funky stuff, and that's why I'm giving you a template so you don't have to go through and manually do this on your own. It can already be set up for you. So click OK and it will adjust that. Remember that we should be referring to the author by last name, not first name. We don't know these people. We should not be overly familiar about them. With each sentence. So Roberts connects this, she explains this, though her chapter. So we need to be doing the same with Choi. Choi notes that food cultures, are about these things. Choi says, she notes, right? It's not repetitive to do this. It helps ensure that we are keeping our mind on the fact that we are sharing somebody else's ideas and we're not adding our own opinions. We're not adding overly generalized statements about food or food cultures. We're being specific about this person's ideas in this specific article. Okay, the bulk of your annotation is going to be this paragraph. And then below it, just a couple of sentences about, how are you connecting to these ideas? What are you thinking about when it comes to food? Just a little bit of you making some connections. And then a word count. So remember, if you highlight the text, you are not highlighting the citation, just the text. Microsoft Word will do a word count for you. So I'm going to pull this up. At the bottom, you'll see 168. That's what I've put here, okay? This is a little bit short of the requirement. You are required to have 200 to 300 words for each of your annotations. So for Choi's work, you need 200 to 300 words with the word count. For Kluger's work, the same. And then for Jennifer 8 Lee's, the same. So this is going to be a lengthier document than we've ever worked with in this class so far. So following the guidelines is going to be crucial. Okay, so here is the example for you to review. It's posted on D2L, but here is the template, folks. I need you to use the template. This saves you time. It saves me time in offering the same feedback over and over again to suggest that you use the template. It's already set up, so you just enter your information. When I say last name and then article title, etc., I don't mean to stop there. Some of you did so. You stopped after the article title and didn't offer the etc. So I want to just offer that clarification now that you want to include the rest of the publication information that is required. So look at Choi's as an example. Look at the Purdue OWL website as an example to construct your citations. Okay. In your annotated bibliography, you will then do your second, so first we have to do this in alphabetical order, right? So Choi's will be first. C is going to come before all the other last names. Then you're going to have, let's see, we have Lee and Kruger. So you have Lee's next. Am I doing that right? EFGHIJKL. So Kluger's goes next. Oh my gosh, I'm losing it, folks. And then you'll do Kluger's annotation, and then you'll lastly include the citation and annotation for Jennifer 8 Lee's work. Okay, so that, this annotated bibliography is one document, one assignment you will upload when it's due with 3 different pieces in it, 3 different articles that you are annotating, okay? So that is the annotated bibliography assignment. One other thing I want to note is that when you're thinking about, your annotations, those are just summaries, right? But sometimes it can be kind of difficult to summarize, all of these people's ideas. So originally I told you to think about, summarizing an episode of whatever show you and your friend watch, right? So you're not going to get super specific. You're not going to pull out, this detail about what this person was wearing. You're going to just give those main ideas. That is your goal for a summary for an annotated bibliography. You don't need to pull in a quote, even though, you can use a quote, right? But we want the bigger picture. So when you're telling your friend the summary of what happened on last night's episode of Dancing with the Stars or whatever, you're not going to get too specific. You're just going to say this happened, then this happened, then this happened. And that's what you're going to do for an annotation. So what I've done is I have written on Kluger's article to provide you with some ways that you can kind of set up this work without having to go in and reread an article to create that annotation. So I highlight, I'm a highlighter, and I also handwrite notes, right? So you'll see that this is a text that actually includes a citation. Some of you caught on to this, you copied and pasted and adjusted accordingly. So you can still copy and paste this. You need to make sure that you're italicizing the publication title, this is Time Magazine, and you're italicizing in italics, that font that kind of leans over to the right, the title of the database. This is where I originally found it, okay? So I want you to note that, I did some of the work that our authors recommended from our course text. I looked and I asked, what's the article title, right? Who is the author? This work was cited in 8 other academic items. I underlined in a different color the research that Kluger uses. And I put notes off to the side, about what each section covers, because that's essentially what a summary is. I go in and I don't have to reread the whole article to summarize it. I have notes, okay? Food is complicated for humankind with many meanings or issues. So that is, a summary of Kluger's ideas here. So I can go into, an annotation and say, Kluger notes that food is complicated for humankind, and there are many, different meanings or uses for food across humankind. I don't have to go into some specifics of this paragraph. I have summarized it right here. Okay, my next sentence can be, Kluger identifies that food is connected deeply to culture. Even when people move away, they hold on to food and food practices. I'm not getting stuck on Brenton's research here or Brenton's, quote here. I'm just giving the overall ideas. That's your goal for the annotation, right? You're just summarizing and showing that you understand the basics of Kluger's ideas, Choi's ideas, and then adding Jennifer 8 Lee's ideas. Okay, so now it's time for us to take a break. I've covered kind of the annotated bibliography main points. We'll move into the next video with some additional information.